In the kitchen of intrigue, Curt Jackson and Chris Callow are cooking up a batch of mystery soup.
Each episode serves a new blend of tips, tactics, trends, and tales from the business and design sides of the escape room world.
So grab your spoon, because this episode starts in 3, 2, 1.
Mystery Soup.
Welcome back to the Mystery Soup podcast. I'm Curt. With me is Chris. How's it going, Chris?
Good. Working on new stuff at camp. Working on my new escape bag. My hamburger bag. I showed you, Curt. No one else gets to see this on the podcast. That's super cool. Oh, look at it.
That's a hamburger bag.
It's awesome.
Where'd you get that?
TikTok shop. Boom. I also got a little McDonald's bag.
Oh my goodness.
This is going to be so fun. I'm excited for this. I got to work on it.
So there's a fry bag and
I got like I made this, my little tumbler cup. It's for McDonald's because I can't
You made it?
McDonald's. Yeah, I mean, it's like the cricket. You cut out the little stencils. I bought like a little white tumbler from, I don't know, Dollar.
That looks official, man. That's cool.
Thank you. It'd be awesome if I ever find time to work on it.
So for those listening, we have we've talked about this on the show, haven't we, Chris?
I don't know. We talk about it so much. I don't know if we're talking about it on this podcast or not.
That's true. We create escape room bags for the escape room that I used to work at that Tina owned and put in the lobby. As a lobby bag that people can work on before they go into their room if they came early. Some people would even do it when they came out. And so we had a couple different bags. And then Chris, for camp, he took it to another level. He has how many do you have now? How many escape room bags?
I have the fanny pack. I have the diaper bag. Karen's purse. That one's my favorite. Purse. You got to get to the phone and complain. Call the manager. You have Granny's. Evelyn's pencil. The camp counselor. Indiana Jones is a new one. And then the McDonald's bag. The Bigfoot bag.
My goodness.
Bag.
That's awesome.
I feel like I have one more. I don't know. Way too many. 10-ish.
Well, let's move on. Our guests for this episode, we have Will and Hunter Voelker. Welcome, the two of you.
Thank you.
The first time I found out about the two of you was you used to live in Orlando area, correct?
Yes.
And one of you worked at the escape room, right?
Yeah, I've worked at several escape rooms now. I worked at one when I was in Orlando. That's how we met Hunter and Alexander and Conway, our teammates for when we play escape rooms.
Gotcha.
And which games are there? I think I did one with you there.
We did the was that the video store?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
We were in a bad place.
We were in a bad mood. We had done like 5 rooms.
Well, the thing is, we had
driving all over the state of Florida.
We drove to Exit Games out in Clearwater, and we did a game like along the way. We did an escapology game,
jungle thing,
and then we went to the bureau and played Puppet Heist.
Good, but exhausting.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we were done. We were just burnt. And
that many rooms plus Orlando traffic sounds like a headache.
Exactly. And we were like, Chris is like, this is a stupid puzzle.
If you know anything about Curt and I, we're very good about throwing fits in escape rooms. Like, we know people are watching. We know they can hear us. So we're just like, this is the dumbest thing ever. I know there's no way they'd make us count these cans. That'd be stupid. Sure enough.
My goodness.
To be honest, probably we didn't hear you say that because all we can hear over the mic at that point is just cans rustling.
Right. My very first room was the dig.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my very first room
the dig
ever. So when I was working at the escape hatch, I was not there. And Tina's like, you wouldn't believe this team that came in. They were machines. They were the most amazing team I've ever seen. And they got through whichever room or rooms you did in like record time, number 1 time that will never be broken. And she was just like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. And the other owner, same way, and the game masters. And I was like, who are these people? These Belkers, who are they?
Who are they?
Just some random nerds.
Right. I mean, we say Tina and I are like we call ourselves the most okayest escape room players ever. We will never be at your level. We are fine with that. We are okay. I kind of want to dive into that a little bit during this hour, if you don't mind. But first, let's have you tell us about yourselves outside of the escape room world, I guess.
Yeah, so the two of us met in 2013 when we were going to school together at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. We were both theater majors. And I had transferred there. I was a transfer student from my first school, and we met and we pretty much became friends instantly. And then we started dating a few months later, and kind of the rest is history. We dated throughout college, and then we got married in 2016. We got our dog in 2016 as well. And that's also the year we started playing escape rooms. So a big year for us, 2016.
Right?
We would describe ourselves as big nerds. We love playing, obviously, escape rooms is our biggest hobby, but anything that has game in the title, we love playing board games, card games. I'm a big video game player. We're at my gaming setup right now. Hunter will indulge me a few times and play some games with me.
There's a few I like.
But yeah, we also love rock climbing, traveling, and reading. Hunter's a big reader and has got me into reading recently. So, yeah.
Hunter, you and Tina would get along great because she's also vegetarian. She's also a big reader. She also will maybe play a video game with me.
I always say this. I think that readers and video game players are like a match made in heaven, because video games are typically something he kind of does on his own, reading something I do on my own. So we each have our solo activities, and then we have lots of stuff we love to do together. So,
but you could do them in the same room.
Yes, it's a perfect combination.
It's true.
Okay, I need to know, how did you get to Lincoln, Nebraska? I student taught there. There is like nothing in that town. So
So I was born and raised in Lincoln.
Okay.
My parents were originally from Illinois, but then moved. My dad got a job at the university when, like, my oldest brother was just a couple years old. And then I was born there, raised there. They still live there. I went to school there, and you were
I was born and raised in Omaha, which is just an hour from Lincoln. And it's really funny. We talk about things all the time. We were both big theater and speech kids in high school and did show choir and stuff. So probably we had met before, or not like officially met, but like seen each other at these competitions throughout like growing up, and never knew it, and then didn't meet till college. So it's super weird, but we grew up close to each other. I went to school far away, and then I decided to transfer. So then we ended up in Lincoln for that. But then we both moved to Omaha when we just after we got married, because I already had a solid job in Omaha. And that's where we left from to come down to move to Florida after the pandemic. So we've kind of been in that area our whole lives.
Omaha is still my favorite zoo ever by far. Any zoo out there, it is my favorite.
The universe kept trying to bring you together, huh? And then finally it happened.
Yeah, I know. I think the universe was just pissed because I kept saying, my mom kept trying to get me to go to UNL, and I was like, oh, my friends are going there. I don't want to go there. And then just like all these happenstantial things happened. And then I was like, oh, I guess I'll just come back home and go to UNL. And the universe was like, oh, thank God. It's so much work.
Right. Will, where in Illinois?
My mom was born in Chicago, grew up in Chicago. My dad was born in Peoria, Illinois, which
my goodness.
That's where I came from. So I came,
really? That's crazy.
Washington, right outside of Peoria.
That's awesome. Crazy. What
I still have my uncle's family still lives there. My cousins like grew up and were raised there and live there. And they went to University of Illinois together, and then they moved a couple different places. But yeah, ended up around.
That's hilarious. So then how did y'all, like, when did the escape room bug hit you finally?
Yeah, we did it probably like 2 or 3 months after we got married in 2016 is when we first played our room. And we booked one at a small company that's just in Omaha, played one, and then immediately booked another one that night. And then I think by the end of the week, had played like 5 to 6 more. So we were pretty heavily invested right away. And
immediately.
Yeah, played a lot in that first year, more than we should have. I had a little group that we played with in Omaha, and then I've made different groups and friends and played a lot just by ourselves along the way.
Yeah, we're both pretty competitive. So I think our first or second room we did it with a group that we played with in Omaha for a while before we moved. And I think our first or second room we got a record, and we were like, ooh, like the competitive nature in us was like, ooh, this is feeding something in my competitive like addiction. So we were just really excited right away.
And
so
actually in that first year, You know how they do like the Red Bull championships for escape rooms? We did that first year they did it. I think it was 2016 or early 2017. They came in Lincoln to a bar downtown. And so us two and then two of our friends drove down to Lincoln and did like the first challenge. We did not,
we did terribly.
We did terribly. But
also weird because it's not like a real escape room. It's not like you can go into an escape room and then they watch you play it. It's like very different than that.
It was like a very specific game and you had to get used to it. And then once you got used to it, it was like, okay, but
it's more like akin to level 99 or Activate. I feel like it's more like that than an escape room. That was cool that we did it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool that we got to do that.
But really, we can do better if it's a real escape room. Come watch us.
Do you want to watch us play one of those?
And so at this point, how many escape rooms have y'all played?
Yeah, we're at 421.
Woo! So when you get to 500, is there going to be some kind of special celebration?
Probably.
Yeah, we tried to do every like mile mark. About 100 we didn't hit. We had a bad room for 100, but 200, 300, 350, and 400 we've hit a pretty good room, or had a little celebration. So 500.
Have you talked about what that 500 room is going to be?
We actually haven't.
I mean, we have places we haven't played yet that are, the big hitters. That will probably end up being one of those, but it kind of hard because then we have to fill, the next 75 to get to that number. So we got a lot of fillers, but yeah, it'll be something special for sure.
Tina's 500 was at Escape Ventures Port Charlotte.
That's such a good 500.
Yeah, it's their newest game. There was balloons, a cake involved, a little trophy.
Awesome.
It was amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So out of all the games and stuff you played, do you have a favorite genre you like to do with them?
Yeah, I think that we love the kind of like silly or like kitschy rooms. We think those are really fun.
Yeah.
So like Granny Fannies at Escape Ventures.
Speaking of Escape Ventures,
yeah, speaking of Escape Ventures, or like Grampy Vampies, if you've played that.
It's like the rhyming names of the.
Yeah, I guess so. Or like Spoopy Bones, like that kind of just like silly sort of genre. I think is our favorite. We like all the genres. We're not like picky. We love horror.
You do scary? You do scary. All right.
She has not done scary until she started working at Dare. We played at Dare in 2017 and we did Asylum. And I don't know if we played Asylum.
Useless.
But it is like a room, a small room, a big room. And you got to kind of go back and forth between the rooms. And so I tried to go to a room and she's like, no, you can't leave me. I was like, okay, well, you have to come with. She said, no, I don't want to go with. I said, well, you got to do one or the other. You can't just, I have to do stuff. But I did that room probably 70% by myself.
Pretty much. I was terrified. My brain couldn't get past being scared, but also trying to think. It was like I was like frozen. I just couldn't do it. And to be fair, there weren't that many scary rooms in Omaha, so I didn't really have a lot of practice at it, I feel like. And I wasn't a kid that grew up like going to haunted houses and stuff. My family's not really into horror and stuff. But then when I started working at Dare, I just got really used to being around all the props and stuff. But I don't know if you've seen, Dare's been on like a couple episodes of like ghost hunters and things like that. No. And I personally had experiences with ghosts when I worked there. So after working with real ghosts, I was like, I can do anything now. So anytime we go somewhere scary, I'm like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah. So now we look forward to scary rooms for sure.
Good.
Nice. There's no genres that you don't like or that you're kind of tired of, like Prison Break
there's themes for sure, like Hunter,
Egypt,
almost exclusive. Yeah, we say we never played like a great Egypt room, which is sad because we've seen really pretty ones.
Pretty good one.
Yeah, that's right. We did play one good one.
One good one that was like, I would say it's actually pretty decent.
But yeah, usually they look pretty, but then the puzzles kind of fall flat. But Hunter refuses to play any more science rooms. That's like her bottom of the barrel, unless it's really unique for some reason. We'll maybe consider.
If you have a periodic table in the room, it's over for me.
Right. So true.
But then I think it's just Hunter probably is a little bit more tired of kind of the generic themes, Prison Break. But I feel like we've played such unique and good ones of those. Like, I think the escape games Prison Break is really fun. So then it's like, well, we might miss those. Obviously, those genres are popular for a reason. So probably some company does that room really, really well. So I try to convince her to play as many as possible.
I'll usually go for it because we have a problem. But
have you been doing? Go ahead, Chris.
I was just, I'm to the point with Egypt rooms. I'm like, if there's hieroglyphics that I have to translate, I'm out. I'm so done.
Yeah.
Have you all been to Arizona, Phoenix area?
No.
Okay. I will say the best Egyptian room that we played is at Paragon out there. So that was pretty decent. Yeah. But
I've heard. I think there's pretty many companies in Arizona, kind of randomly, that are really highly regarded. So
Oh yeah,
we're gonna make a trip down there.
Yeah, at some point we will. Yeah, the only good Egypt room we played was like in
I was in
Nashville.
Murfreesboro.
Oh yeah, Murfreesboro. I don't remember the name of the company.
There's 3 that are in Murfreesboro, and I forget I'm gonna misspeak. I think it's 60-minute escape in Murfreesboro.
Oh, I think you're right.
But
their Egyptian one there is
I'll have to check because
pretty decent. Probably the best one we've played by far. They had some really cool moments of joy.
I looked up 60-minute escape in Murfreesboro, and they have the Fallout, Pharaoh's Chamber, and Frankenstein. Which Frankenstein we had like just kind of an odd time in, but it's a really cool looking room and a really fun room.
Yeah.
But then Pharaoh's Chamber we liked a lot. So
yeah. So tell us about working at an escape room. Like, Will, have you worked at an escape room?
I haven't. I've volunteered a few times when Hunter was working, but nothing. Never.
All right. So Hunter.
So I was the general manager of a place in Omaha for some years before the pandemic hit. And then I worked at Dare in Orlando, and I've been pretty lucky, I think, that both places I worked are what I would consider like in the top tier of companies in the city. We thought that about Dare before I worked there, which is why I wanted to work there. And I still think that about Dare. And then the company I worked at in Omaha, there's been a few that have opened after that I think are on par with it now. But when I worked there, it was definitely like far and beyond the best one in the city. It's Omaha, Nebraska, so there's not that many places.
Like 4 or 5.
But yeah, I've been pretty lucky to work at 2 places that have been in the top of the city. But obviously, we met our best friends at the one I worked at in Orlando at Dare. It was really fun, and it was definitely a different experience than the one in Omaha. Obviously, Omaha's a smaller city, so like less tourists, definitely less busy during the week and stuff. So it was just a very different experience. The one in Omaha, I only had 4 rooms. Dare has 7, so it was definitely different like on that end. But I don't know. I enjoyed my time at both. I like being a game master. It's really easy and fun for me to slip into that like theater mode of just like reciting the intros to the games and stuff, but then also just watching how other people's brains think. I sometimes will catalog things that they do away and think like, oh, we could use that tactic in an escape room, or I really liked how this person took notes. So I don't know, I just get to do my favorite things all the time, which is talk to people and talk about escape rooms. So
right. You don't have to do any acting in any of them, or you don't. Let me rephrase that. You don't get to do any acting.
At the one in Omaha, no. At Dare, I'll say that without giving away anything, there are moments where the game masters will interact with some of the games, but also the introduction to Seventh Room, if you ever played that when you were there, is, I'm sure you know, it's long. And so you have to get everyone prepared for the room, but then also, you know, all like the legal and like unfun stuff. Don't do this, don't do that, whatever.
Right.
But then also the storytelling portion of it, which is unlike our other rooms that get a video or a shorter, I'll say, story from the game master, depending on which room you're going into. But Seventh Room was really long, but I loved it because each group you could tailor it to see, you know, how scared you could get them depending on how they were.
Would you ever want to be like being a theater kid?
Yeah, being a theater kid definitely made me want to, or like think it would be really fun to be an actor in an escape room. I don't know. I think it would depend on the situation. The place I worked at in Omaha worked really closely with the company The Basement in LA and Las Vegas
as well, yeah.
But they brought it to Kansas City, and my company worked really closely with them. And so I got to talk to their actors and their people when we went and visited, and they were just talking about all the safety stuff. And some of the actors were talking about crazy things people have done to them when they're in the room. And I was like, ooh, so maybe like not that scenario or like a point. I just don't think I would want to be close enough or in a scary enough situation where someone would accidentally punch me in the face, for example.
Right.
But there's been some places where we've had actors that have been really fun that I think I would really love. So I think it would depend on the scenario.
Like Greenville?
Like Greenville.
Like Greenville. Yes.
Yeah. And which place do you work at, Hunter?
So I don't work at an escape room place right now. Well, not an escape room specifically. I work for a company called Breakthrough, and they're like level 99 or Boat of
Gotcha. So you used to work at Get Out.
Yes, I used to work at Get Out, and I used to work at Dare. But
right now, y'all need to update Facebook profiles. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
I'm terrible at that. Honestly, I keep Facebook for like my family
Mhm.
to like keep connected with them, but I'm really terrible at updating
Almost
it.
exclusively just for the enthusiast page. Otherwise, I wouldn't use Facebook.
Truly.
That's fair. I mean, there's a lot of good escape room groups on Facebook,
Mhm.
so that's
100%.
usually where I'm at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't keep up too much either.
I'm terrible at it.
So besides translating hieroglyphics, what would you say makes a great escape room?
Yeah, so we are like ultra nerds and we rank every room we go into. So we have like our own system for it. We just do like a 1 through 10, but we do what we consider kind of the two main categories are puzzles and scenic, and we do 5 points for each. It's not like a super strict scale, like a room can get higher or lower than exactly a certain number of each of those points, but it's like a good kind of just a check-in to be like, yeah, does that make sense? Can we justify this rating with that? So yeah, that's what we really focus on when we go into a room. We feel like those are the kind of the key elements. And within each of those, obviously, there's multiple things. Like for scenic, right, includes immersion, set deck, like props, like all the kinds of things. For puzzle, includes flow and like, does it make sense to be in this room? You know, is this like an on-brand or on-theme puzzle? So after every room, whether it's just the two of us or us in our group, we'll say, all right, does everyone have a number? And then we'll say 1, 2, 3, and we all say the number at the same time. And then we spend, 10 minutes discussing, or 30 minutes if we all disagree.
No, it's definitely a 4. Come on. Like,
yeah.
Or someone will say something really low or really high, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
Where were you?
That's right.
I try to be objective when I play games because things like something being broken or even certain experience that you have as just your group isn't necessarily indicative of the room as a whole. So we try to keep it to that system, but then obviously there are things that individually affect our opinions of it. For us personally, outside of our system, we prefer rooms that have better puzzles. We'd rather play a room that is a 5 for puzzles and a 2 for scenic than a 2 for puzzles and a 5 for scenic.
Although they both got a 7 on the ranking scale, it's just what we prefer to play.
And obviously, seeing a beautiful room is its own experience. You get to walk out and say, oh my God, did you see this thing happen? I would say that it's definitely, I think you have to kind of favor both equally if you're trying to look at it objectively. But for us personally, we love puzzles and good puzzle flow.
Does the customer service experience play into any of that? Like when you go in, or you're just like, hey, I'm here for the room?
Yeah, so the way I would think about it or describe it is it can elevate the experience, but I try to keep it out of like my personal rating for the room. The only other thing we do, which is maybe kind of a cheap thing, but we have something called fun points, which is just, this room was maybe only truly a 4 or 5 on our total scale, but we just had so much fun walking out of the room. I think Grampy Vampy is a good example of that. The room itself was solid, but we walked out just like there was a lot of fun things that we did. And so it got an extra point on our scale.
Enjoyable.
We're just like laughing the whole time.
Yeah. So
Right.
I don't think like customer service is obviously hugely important, but I try not to let if that affect my opinion of the room, and it can make me feel better about the company as a whole, maybe, as long as I'm not having a game guide who's not, looking at my room for 20 minutes, then I feel like I try to kind of separate the two.
Well, it's also amazing how who you're with and the mindset you're in can really affect the game. Just for example, what we told you, Chris and I playing a room where we were just at the end of our day and we had done a lot of driving and we were like, this is not great. And yet we had both said, had we been kind of fresh, we probably would have really enjoyed the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
I won't name the company, but it was a room we played for our 100th room. And we got paired with some random people. And about 3 minutes into the room, there was some audio going on. And I think Hunter pretty quickly realized it was just the soundtrack to Gravity, the movie. And so like we weren't paying attention to it, but we were just continuing working. But
random.
as we were working, the random gentleman that we were with literally told us to shut up and was shut up. We were like, okay. And he was like, there might be something important. And Hunter was like, it's just the soundtrack to Gravity. She's like,
hey, I just watched this movie like a couple weeks ago, actually. It's just Gravity.
And the room itself was just an awful experience. But the last puzzle, the code was written on the floor in blacklight, but it was so expired that you could just read it without the blacklight. And so we got out without doing the last like 3 puzzles in the room.
I mean, the whole room. We skipped the whole room.
The whole last room, yeah.
Yeah, we tried not to, but then we couldn't find anything else to do. So we're like, maybe we're supposed to. And so we did it. And the game master was like, great job, you did it. And I was like, not really. Well, not really, but okay.
So, and again, the room wasn't great, but then from that moment on, we just weren't happy with that being in that room because we're like, I don't want to be with these people ever again. So hugely important with who you're playing with and Yeah.
Your game master's
overall vibes.
attitude as well. If you get you can have a crabby game master that will totally ruin it.
Yeah, I once played this game and I had this game master called Hunter. Oh my god.
She's the worst. Don't let her run around.
As I mentioned before, you two are amazing players, right?
Thank you.
What do you think are kind of the keys to being super good at escape rooms? Or do you think you guys just have a gift?
No,
Not
think,
that.
Yeah, definitely not that. I think, like, as a general rule, when everyone asks us, like, what's like your suggestion for how to be good at escape rooms? You know, if like a random person asks on the street, I just say communication, I think, is hugely important. You know, if you find something, hey, here are the 3 things we can work on right now, just making sure that everyone in the room knows. There are times where I will say out loud, oh yeah, I've got this thing. And someone else in our group will say, oh, I have the matching thing to this. Let's go work on it. And I think unless you say something out loud, there's just so much going on that sometimes you should internalize it and don't share.
No, listen. So we talk about you guys as we traveled. And this is how Tina says this happens. You'll watch the video. If there's a video, you watch the video and you don't do anything. You kind of look around maybe a little bit, but you're watching the video. And as soon as the video ends, you're like, 3, 2, 5 over there. That is the code hello. And so it is not just communication. When Tina and I play, I go, Tina, there's a lock here, and we'll go around the room. And then Tina will get to that same lock and she goes, hey, there's a lock here. And I'm like, Tina, I just told you that. Are we not listening?
Yeah, and definitely there are other pieces. I mean, the other thing we say is that we feel like all of the groups we've played with, obviously Hunter and I have played a lot of rooms, just the 2 of us, but our group we started with and then our group now and all the groups in between, we have pretty different skill sets, which I think helps a lot. Like, I'm a very math-brained person. So I'm pretty analytical, but then Hunter's pretty creative. Our other friends look at things from a good, like, outside perspective, or they're pretty detail-oriented. The only thing we don't have in our group, we're just the worst searchers in the world.
The worst finders.
The worst part of an escape room anyway.
Yes.
Hate searching.
Especially when there's a ton of it or none of it's glued down and it's like searching through a Goodwill. I'm like, we're going to be so bad in this room.
Our team name at locations when we play with the 5 of us is called I'm Gonna Forget to Look Guys, because we just 15 minutes in the room, if we're asking for a clue, it's because we've missed something that we need to search for.
We also just get too excited as part of it. Like, we find 2 things that go together and we're like, a puzzle, we can do it. So we go off and do it. And then we're like, okay, well, what's next? Hey guys, we didn't really finish searching the room. Maybe we should look for other clues.
We get too excited. We're like little kids.
It's never the thing that's like taped under the table for us either. It's the thing that's like against the wall, just like on the ground. And we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the other piece of advice I would give if anyone's listening and wants a piece of advice is don't be afraid to take clues. We've seen a lot of groups, you as an employee and me just as like playing with randoms who don't want to take clues. Probably when we started out, we were...
Yeah, I don't think we were very good at it at
first.
We
were pretty, I don't know, immature or whatever you want to call it. We just wanted to get through without getting help. But you just realize that there are puzzles that just aren't going to make sense to you, or you're just like, your brain isn't capable of handling at that moment. And so if we're stuck for 5 to 7 minutes, we always talk as a group, and then I say, I think we just need to take a clue. And usually our groups are pretty good about being like, yeah. Or someone will say, give me like 3 minutes to keep thinking, and then let's do it. And then we do. And then either they figure it out or we ask for clues. But, you know, you got 3 clues for a reason, or X number of clues for a reason. Use them if you need them.
I also think part of it is that after we started playing more and more, we just started kind of making connections between puzzles. Not to say that every escape room is the same or anything. They're all very different, and, you know, we still have to use our brains every time we go, but generally, like, how certain puzzles work can kind of help give us sort of a jumping off point, almost, of like, okay, well, I've seen a puzzle similar to this. This isn't exactly it, but maybe it could work like this. And it kind of just gets the wheels turning for us, I think, usually.
And I was actually going to say that exact same thing. After you do so many rooms, you're kind of like, oh, this is similar. My wife and I we'd done several rooms, and then we went to this completely Gen 1 room. And we found this tiny little cannonball, like this metal marble thing. It was a pirate room. We stuck, like, oh, it's an RFID or magnet. We're sticking it on everything. We're like, what in the world does this do? And the guy's like, just drop it in that little hole there and it like knock something out. I'm like,
that's when being an enthusiast is like almost a detriment. Sometimes we overthink things. Like we'll go into a room, we'll be like, okay, well, what if we reverse it and then we do this? And what if it correlates to this? And then it's a multi-step puzzle, so it also goes to this. And they're like, actually, it literally just put it on there. We're like, oh, okay, whoa.
Make it easy.
It's so true.
There are some puzzles though that you're just like, this, it makes no sense. There's no logic. It doesn't flow. How frustrating is that?
It's super frustrating. That is like our biggest pet peeve probably in rooms. Logic leaps in games or just in general flow being like jumpy and not connective, or there being too many paths to get to the same place, especially when we hate it when there's like a clue that you get that gives you an answer to something you've already done because they think, oh, they need a clue to be able to find or do XYZ thing. So you get it and you're like, well, we've already done that. So then you get like kind of tripped up, or you have to backtrack a little or be like, oh, well, do we need the rest of this entire puzzle flow? Can we skip this? And I just feel like bad puzzles in general can ruin a great game. And I think a great example of that is there's a specific room that I won't say that we played, and the entire room was incredible. Like the scenic was amazing. And it was like one of the best types of this type of room that we had played. Like the scenic was incredible. The puzzles were great. Everything fit really well with the theme. Like all the puzzles made sense for the location you were in. And we're, oh my gosh, this is mind boggling. This is so great. I get why people love this room on the enthusiast page. And then we got to the very last puzzle and we're like, wait, for real? This is what we're doing? We just happened to complete it in a like decent pace and it wasn't terrible, but it almost ruined the room for us.
Yeah, I think that we found through the numbers the correct way, and then the fourth one we had somehow just like gotten pretty luckily. And so it didn't ruin our experience. We still give the room a high rating because we enjoyed it and because we think it's good, but that last puzzle is definitely...
We were not a fan, and we've heard a ton of horror stories of people being like, it took us 20 minutes and like it was terrible. I hated that room, and I love that room, but I get what you're saying because the last puzzle was terrible.
I am a lot more brave when there's a camera between me and the game master, and I'll say stuff like, "This is stupid. There's no way they'd do that," you know. But then there's time when I'm actually talking to people, I'm way nicer. But there's times I'm like, how the crap was I supposed to get to that had you not given me a clue? Like, I just want to ask that sometimes, like,
yes,
how do other people figure this out? Like, there's no way.
And we've found that sometimes those owners are the ones who only played a couple of games before they opened up their own place. And they don't want to play other games because they don't want to be influenced by other people's games when they create their own. And we're like, what are you talking about? You need to go play games.
Don't Michael Gambon it. Don't be the one who doesn't read the Harry Potter books and then play Dumbledore crazy.
It's one of my the funniest question you ever ask a game master. If you're having a struggle with the puzzles, you say like, oh, like, how many times do you have to give a clue for that puzzle? And they're like, oh, every time. It's like, okay, then it's not a good puzzle.
Problem.
Yes. You gotta fix that.
That's the red flag you needed to change it.
Right? Absolutely. So aside from the rooms, when it comes to an escape room company on the whole, what do you like to see? We kind of touched on this as far as customer service and stuff, but you know, are you like a cool lobby, themed restrooms?
Yeah, I guess to kind of jump off of what I had talked about previously, I think it all just adds to the experience, right? I think customer service can really make you like have like a great relationship with a company. I'll talk about when we played with the Escape game back in 2017, we played all the rooms in Orlando, and they have a ton of employees, and they had a like kind of their lobby host that's always there.
Yeah.
And he was there with us the entire time, you know, met us, chatted with us the entire time. After our last room, he had already had to leave for the day, but he left us a card that was just like, hey, it was so nice to meet you. Like, you were the greatest team to ever come in here. We're so grateful I got to like meet you and have like such wonderful conversations with you. And it was just like the kindest note for someone that, you know, we had a great time anyway. We didn't need that, but it just made you feel heartwarmed and makes you appreciate those companies. And I know we've had it at many other companies. That's I want to talk about Dare.
Yeah, that's how that's like one of the reasons I really wanted to work at Dare was because when we played the first time, it was back in 2017 when they only had Asylum, Dig, and Ringmaster open, so they didn't have all their other games. But Sean, one of the owners, was the one who ran us through all the games, and he was just like so nice and genuine. And Will and I had were talking to him about, oh, someday we'd love to open our own escape room. We just love them so much. Like, we're just obsessed. And he was just talking to us about how it was being an owner. And he was just like the nicest, most open person.
Nice.
And he was afterwards was just so complimentary. I think we set a record in Ringmaster. And he was just like,
no,
oh my gosh,
you too?
just like, but he was just like so excited for us and texted Maureen, his partner, about us. I don't know, just had great things to say. It always just makes you feel good, and he ended up giving us like a little key from their Christmas tree that they put out every year. And we put that out on our Christmas tree every year.
That's
it was
awesome.
Just like a little token and stuff. And we just had like the greatest time. So when I was thinking about where I wanted to work in Orlando, I was like, hey, do you remember what kind of experience we had at Dare? I would love to work for someone like that. And so I reached out to him, and the rest is history. But that's why I wanted to work there, because I just wanted to work for somewhere that they gave me that feeling. I wanted to give that feeling to other people, or make enthusiasts out of people. So yeah, I think customer service can really like take it to that next level. But I think we both feel like it, unless it's really insanely bad, and we've had a few of those, it will never down the ranking of the room itself. But it definitely like creates a relationship with that company where you want to come back, you want to spend more money there, you want to talk about it on the enthusiast page and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tina and I, we played at the escape game somewhere in Southern California, but we went to, with the escape game, because it's public rooms, the earlier the better, right? So, and they open early, some of them. And I think it was like 8:30 or 9 o'clock game that we went to. And so we go in and we meet the guy. The guy who's the game master is really nice. We go play our room. And Tina and I, we do not, we're not the couple that argues or anything. And we're always encouraging each other, and we fist bump when we get something. And it's really exciting. And so then we had a great time. We come out, and the guy was like, while you were playing, I was texting my girlfriend, and I was like, you should see these two. They're having so much fun. And he goes, total relationship goals.
So cute.
Yeah, right? But
That's awesome.
Chris and I have talked about how if we go to a place and we play multiple rooms, we want the same game master the whole time.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like, okay, you're in a new room. Now it's Steve. Oh, next room.
Steve
okay, it's
sucks.
Lisa.
Don't give me Steve.
Yeah, we typically feel the same way. We like having the same game master. Although I will say, Escape Artist Greenville did kind of change my mind on that. Or at least they just did such a good job, because we were there for a long time, because we played all of their games, and it was what, like,
you played all of their
something?
games?
All of their games.
So we did
in a day and a half. So it was a day, and then we had to get up the next morning and finish the last two at the other place because we didn't have time.
Their original location one day, and then we stayed overnight in Greenville, and then did Hampton Station. They only had two at that time. They have the third one now, but yeah, we did the two.
But we did it all within like 24 hours. And one of the games was our 400th and our friends 250th. 200th.
Nice.
And so the owners, Kim and Will, were so sweet, and they gave us like these keys and stuff. It was already special, and they were already there, like, to meet us and stuff. But it was such like a long day of gaming and just like squeezing it all in that we did change game masters, which I was like, I understand no one wants to work a 12-hour shift to take care of that. They would like pass us off in this really like genuine way that was like, oh, here's my friend so and so, and like they're gonna take care of you. And they wouldn't just like bounce out. They would like talk to us for a few minutes. Or then when they would pass us in the hallway later that day or the next day, they'd be like, hey guys, like, so it was like very like seamless kind of. And every single person they've ever hired, I'm pretty sure, because all of their game masters were incredible. All the game masters, actors, everyone who works for them was literally some of the nicest people we've ever met working for escape rooms. So I was like, I want to meet everyone.
And so they have scary rooms.
Oh yeah. We were into it.
I will say that when we talk about like record-setting pace, I feel like I wouldn't even want to try, because I can't enjoy the room.
You don't see everything.
Yeah. If we're rushing through it. But then again, I don't have a competitive nature like you two. So, I mean, do you ever go, I wish we would have kind of took our time with that one?
Yeah, so a big thrill we've talked about in our group is we like the speed. And like, I wouldn't say we like we make sure that we also get to enjoy the room. So we're not like, I guess there's probably rooms we could go faster in, but we just want to make sure we enjoy the room. But also part of the thrill is going fast. And then the fun part about it is then for half an hour afterwards, we talk about the room and say, okay, so like, what was this puzzle I kind of missed? Can you explain that more to me? And so we get kind of this fun like debrief, which is awesome. And
sometimes we'll do it in the room with the game master even a little bit. We'll kind of walk around at the end when they say, do you have any questions?
Okay.
We usually don't mind taking up a little bit of their time.
You're like, we have a half hour left. Yeah, let's
usually have a little time extra. So we're like, well, you were planning to be here for an hour, so now we'll just do this version of it instead. But I think we're all really competitive. We all get really into it and get into setting records. And we all just like to like kind of like tease each other and stuff too while we're in the room about like setting the record. Like if we do something that we're like, oh duh, I should have known it was that, we're like, that's the 30 seconds, that's the record, we just missed it because of you, you know. So we like to give each other crap about it.
Yeah.
Because we have missed a record by 15 or 20 seconds before, and we'll never let each other live it down. So then that's just like our running joke.
That's so funny. So I kind of want to know the opposite. So we've talked about some good rooms. Without naming the place, maybe what's one of the worst experiences? Not so much just a room or a worst game, but like the whole experience, the business, everything as a whole.
Yeah, this one was easy for us. We've played obviously some bad rooms, but this company that we played at, all of their rooms were like bottom of our 420.
Every single room they have.
But it was the experience that sums it up is we played one of the rooms. We already weren't having a good time. The room didn't make sense. And our friend Alexander, who we play with, shout out Alexander, he goes on and says like, hey, can we get a clue? And the game master comes back at us and says, hey, can we get a clue? And like mimicked him back to us.
No.
Yeah. And we were like, what?
So at least fit the theme. Like, was it supposed to be like?
Nope.
Not at all.
Maybe he had said something mean about the room. I don't know. He's usually pretty kind of holds his tongue, but they did not like us for some reason and did not hold back, and we're not happy to have us there.
They were not happy to have us there.
I thought maybe
it's okay. We weren't happy to be there.
Like didn't mean to actually hold down the walkie-talkie button or something.
I imagine.
But I don't know. It was, and I like think we all kind of stood there in shock because we were like, what? Why did that just happen?
Wow.
But now we do it to each other all the time. Anytime we're like, guys, should we ask for a clue? Ask a clue. We'll be, oh, guys, should we ask for a
yeah, and then just to slip another one in there. This was like our probably 7th to 8th room we'd ever played. And the experience, the company as a whole, they didn't offer clues at that time. This was in 2016. And it was like you couldn't get a clue. It wasn't, oh you get penalized or, you know, you only get 3. It was, we don't give clues here, which I imagine means they don't watch the rooms, right? Like they're not watching you play.
I think there's still a lot of education happening in early 2016 of like how they worked and like they like prided themselves on this. And I was like, I don't think you should be proud of that. But I think they were still trying to get it.
We got to this point with like probably 30 to 35 minutes left in the game. We did this puzzle and it was like a sheet we sprayed water on. There's no code on it. We were like, okay. So then we were like, well, we don't know what to do. There's nothing else we can do. So we literally sat and just chatted in the room for 30 minutes. They came in and they're like, do you have any questions? We're like, yeah, what's going on with this puzzle? And she's like, oh, you just spray the water on it. It's written invisible ink. You should be able to see it. And we're like, oh, it didn't work. And we're like, we'll show you again. And she's like, oh, it only works the first time. Right. So you have a puzzle you can only do once. And if it doesn't work, we're just done for.
Right. Wow. And it didn't even work the first time.
Yeah.
We were just like dumbfounded. And I was like, well, we haven't played that many rooms, but like we've seen black light. Like maybe that could be an option. And she was like, no, it works every other time. And I was like, okay. And
they were already, the game masters, they were grumpy because it was like the last room of the night and they thought they were going to get to leave and they didn't get to because we walked in. So they weren't happy with us. Admittedly, we were probably a little cocky. This was our 7th room. We'd done really well. I think one of our teammates was like, yeah, we've set like 4 records already. So then at the end of it, she came, she's like, well, we stumped you, didn't we? And I was like, well, one of your puzzles didn't work, but sure.
Right.
So yeah.
And from that moment on, we learned to never tell anyone how many games we played. Anytime anyone asks, they're
unless
like, have you
very
played games?
Specifically.
We're like, And they're like, would you say a lot? And we're like, sure.
Well, if someone asks directly, we'll say it. But we're usually pretty reserved about it.
So how important do you feel like the game master is in an escape room?
I think the game master is important. Obviously, I've been one before. I think that the game master experience can increase or decrease a ranking for me personally. I just think it comes down to, for me, having done it so long, I know that it's not that hard to watch a game, but also make a very small connection with someone. Like I've had teams of people come in and play and they're like insufferable and like saying just crazy things. And I'm like, they don't remember that I can hear them either about me or about other people or just, you know, what, like they'll say the most wackadoodle stuff, but there's still a way that you can find some commonality, I think, with anyone who walks in the door pretty much, or even if it's not a commonality to kind of talk about just complimenting their hair or how they did a certain puzzle, or like, wow, I never would have thought about it that way. That was really clever. Or you guys did this puzzle so quickly, I couldn't believe it. I had to tell my friend in the room, you know, whatever, even made up stuff that you say. I just don't think it's that hard. And it's always, I know, so uncomfortable when you like get out of a game and you feel like you did well and the game master's like, okay, great job, let's go take a photo in the lobby. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I don't need you to toot my horn, but like a little toot would be nice.
At Dirt Escape, did you run one game or did you run multiple games?
That is the intention. But with 7 games, sometimes there would just be times where we knew we had a huge group of people coming in 40 minutes or whatever, and we had 6 out of the 7 games unreset. So there would be times where I would send other people off to like go reset, or I would go and reset. We always loved racing each other. We always thought that was really fun.
we did the same thing.
Fast but accurate resets, and we just have someone watch over their game. The great thing about Dare, the thing I really loved about working there, is they do a doorbell system. So whether or not I love that as a player, it's really convenient as a game master because you know exactly which room is asking for a clue, or if that game master for some reason is helping with another game and you hear the doorbell go off, and then you can tap them or throw something at them and be like, hey, your doorbell's going off. So that makes it really like easy to tell. But at Get Out Omaha, it was kind of the same way. The intention is 1 person per room, but obviously you also have to run a business. And even though I may have 4 game masters and 4 games there, we also have to answer the phone and talk to people who come into the lobby and get groups into the rooms, take them out of the rooms and reset rooms. There's a lot happening behind the scenes of an escape room, especially on like a busy Saturday when all the games are running. So
that's fair.
Yeah, not always, but that's always the intention, right?
It is. Yeah, that's true.
So y'all have designed an escape room, right?
Yeah, we have.
Okay. So tell me about, what does an escape room look like designed by enthusiasts?
Yeah, we're excited about it. It's been a really cool and fun experience. You know, kind of test our limits. We had this really good system where we'd all bring puzzles together of our ideas, then we'd kind of like eliminate ones that we thought were weaker and kind of pick the strongest puzzles and really create this room that was kind of a combination of all 3 of our design, which is really kind of cool and unique to see everybody's different perspective on things. And it's been a really awesome experience. It's something that, I've loved so far, and it's been really rewarding.
That's cool.
Do you have the bug now? Are you planning on designing more games?
Yeah, hopefully. But we're also kind of just like getting our life together a little bit in that we're trying to create a backlog for ourselves. So hopefully we'll be able to have a backlog of pre-set games of, hey, if you want this theme, we have some ready, and we can also do like custom themes for people.
And what would it cost to hire the Voelkers to put the game together?
Pricing pending.
But something we still haven't worked out fully yet.
We're pretty fresh. We have, we're talking about, we'll probably sell just like the room that you can take the design and go install yourself, or then we'll also sell the product as a whole, saying, hey, we'll help install and build everything for you. But obviously that's gonna be a bit.
Have you thought also about just doing like consulting, and if throwing around ideas and puzzle ideas and stuff?
Yeah, that's something we've talked about for a long time actually, and we're planning on doing. Is I don't remember what we called it, but essentially like kind of like a renovation or something, just to come in and say, hey, like, we think this room has really solid bones, but
refresh
the puzzles could be souped up or fixed. So that's something which I think you kind of have to be gentle about, because you don't want to piss off an owner. But we thought, if we're playing a game, we'll have cards with us and just say, hey, like, we think you have solid bones, but we think there's places that can be improved. If you'd like to give us a call.
Are there game designers y'all admire?
Yes, definitely. A few that we particularly admire or think about a lot when we're designing, of like, oh, would it live up to their standards, is we really love Josh and Tay from Exit Game. I just think that the way they design is so unique and well thought out. It just like encompasses all your senses, without giving too much away. There's just so many intricate details that go into everything that they do, from the way they do the introduction to the room and start you in the game to the end of it and all the moments in between. Every time I play one of their games, I'm just like a kid in a candy store the whole time. I'm just looking around with huge eyes.
I personally like the rooms where you go, you do a room, and then everybody comes together to go in the next room, and you don't have to go back. Like,
Yes.
I like doing all the puzzles in a room. I know with the smaller rooms, it helps because it makes it seem bigger to go back and forth.
Yeah.
But I want to complete a room, go on to the next one. Complete it, go on to the next one. And they do that, and I appreciate that.
For sure. Yeah.
So
I
who
love
else?
that too.
Yeah, I'd also say Kim and Will, with Escape Artist Greenville. First of all, again, just the sweetest people. We got to meet them and email with them a bunch, and they were super welcoming. And their design style, I think, is really cool in that they've obviously done so many things so well, right? Like they have kind of like the silly, goofy rooms, which are fun and puzzle heavy and still really awesome to play. And then they have like the scary rooms, which obviously they kill at and just like
Dark
truly
Lullaby,
terrify you. Yeah.
insane.
And Starlight Motel obviously is. Starlight Motel was our 400th.
Yeah.
So that was
nice. Good one.
Yeah, really good 400.
That's
and
such
it was
a good 400.
And then like, everything between, they know how to make great rooms. Their Christmas room is our favorite Christmas room we played. It's just
so cute.
So cute. And
it's adorable. It makes me want to die. It's so cute.
Yeah. I think just trying to like, you want to make the puzzles the best they can be, and you want to combine elements of like unique new puzzles that people haven't seen before and things that make so much sense with like the theme. And you never want to sit and think, why did I do this? And I feel like we never did that. And either of those combination of couples rooms, like they just are.
You don't hit a crossword puzzle in the middle of an Egyptian room and you're like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. So yeah, and then the last ones I'll shout out is Sean and Marine, obviously love them, and they, as well as a company in Tampa, which is actually closed now. It's called Imagine. I don't know if you played there. They were bought out by the national franchise Breakout a while ago.
Okay.
But we played with them back in 2017. I don't think
they're even open anymore.
But they also do this awesome thing in kind of the unique ways, but they do like the rooms all meld together one way or another. And Imagine they literally had like a through storyline for their rooms, which I thought was so fun and so unique. And then obviously
Dare does that as well.
Dare does kind of like an Easter eggy, kind of small hints and stuff. But just that piece is so, and if we ever get to design more rooms, that's something that's really interesting to us, is making rooms kind of connect, whether it's directly or through Easter eggs. So yeah.
And they also did a really good job of, one of the best I've seen, of having extra puzzles that are easily adding in or taking out, depending on like if you want to play on expert level or beginner level, which I think is a really unique way to approach the very common topic amongst designers of like, how do you make a room that's fun and exciting for enthusiasts, but also be able to have a brand new beginner play it and still enjoy it. As a designer, your overall goal is to have everyone escape in 59:59 if it's a 60-minute room, right? You want it to be challenging and interesting. You don't want them to escape right away, but you also want them to escape because that's the goal, and you want the puzzles to make sense and flow and not just make sense to you. And I think they did a really good job of kind of solving that problem at Imagine.
Nice. So what are certain things that you really like to see in escape rooms, like that you would want escape rooms to see like more of, whether it be, I don't know, live actors or fun hint systems?
Yeah, we love live actors. We know it's like controversial. Some people really hate it, but we love it. I don't think we've really ever even had a bad experience with an actor. Maybe a mediocre one at most. Specifically, without like giving any exact things away, we had a great time at the basement with one of their actors. There's a puzzle in one of their rooms that incorporates the actor in such a unique way. We were just like blown away. We couldn't stop talking about it. We think it's fun when they give clues while they're in the room, depending on, how that's given or done.
Mrs. Tandy, is that you?
Yes. We couldn't stop talking about it. It's like literally such a good puzzle, and it's such a unique way to incorporate an actor. It's just insane. But just overall, I think that actors can add a lot if you do it right. Like I think Josh and Tay at Exit Games do it really well, where it's like incorporated seamlessly throughout the game in a way that we always compare it to like like Zelda or like one of those older style video games where they'll like stop you and you'll like talk to an NPC. It's almost like that where you like stop and get information. But in any other game, whenever that happens, because we like to go fast, we're usually like, yeah, get to the part where you tell us the information we need so we can keep going. I like don't want to watch this video, this 5-minute video 3 times to try to get the clue that I need. But in there, we're just like, show me another magic trick. Like, you know, so it's just incorporated in such an incredible way that we really love.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we've very rarely had bad experiences, and it can range from someone just being in there just to give you clues all the way up to be an interactive part of the game, being a part of the storytelling, and I think it's done almost always really well.
Yeah. So. But besides that, we also love, I think fun hint systems can be really cool and unique. It's not necessarily a make or break, but definitely we had a really terrible experience in an escape room once, and the hint system was really unique, and it almost kind of saved the game for us. But in general, I don't think that necessarily makes or breaks a room. Like we personally, I know there's some people in the enthusiast world that are like, oh, you have to give it you know, in an immersive way, otherwise it takes you out of it. And I guess maybe it's the theater kid in us that anytime I'm watching a play, I know I'm sitting and watching a play.
Right.
So like I'm willing to suspend my disbelief enough to know that that's how I'm getting clues for the escape room while still enjoying that everything else is thematic. Yeah, we love immersive stuff like that, and just immersion in general. I feel it's like the hot fudge on top of a sundae that is
right.
scenic. You know, I guess it's not necessary. It's not really a sundae without hot fudge or some kind of topping. It's just ice cream, but ice cream's still good.
You can still enjoy ice cream, but without hot fudge, you're like, man, this is good ice cream.
It's good.
But sometimes just having that hot fudge.
I would just do that much.
Right.
Y'all talked about beta testing, I think a room in Omaha maybe or something you'd beta tested.
Yeah.
Are you cool with that, or would you rather wait for it to have all the kinks worked out?
Yeah, I think our big sticking point with that is we love to beta test and we don't mind doing it. We don't mind seeing the room before it's quote unquote finished, because we love chatting with like owners and other enthusiasts. We could talk escape rooms literally all day long. So that's our favorite part about it. I think our sticking point with it is that we just want to make sure that the owner or whoever is doing the beta testing is up for getting feedback, because if they're not, in my opinion, I'm like, then just forego beta testing, because your mind is already set. You're not going to change anything at this point. You think it's too late, or you think the room is good enough, or you think that your logic makes sense to everyone else, which, to be fair, it's your room. So like, go off, do your thing, I guess, but then just don't
Chris.
Beta test, just like push it out there into the world and then just let it happen, because beta testing, in our opinion, and what we'll use it for if we ever open our own place, or if for our rooms that we design, is for getting feedback, because it makes sense in my brain, but I don't know what's rattling around in there. It makes sense to me, but that doesn't mean it's going to make sense to anyone else.
I think some owners or designers are just looking for this is great, and we've talked about this extensively when we started designing, 3 of us, and I said, hey, I want to make it very clear to you that I want to do beta tests for every room we open, and we have to take every single opinion that someone gives us, and we have to take it, seriously consider it. Even if it's for 5 minutes, we say, okay, what do we think about this? And we talk through it. We say, yeah, it's a dumb suggestion. It's just a random person that has this idea that we don't agree with, whatever. But we talk about every suggestion we take it seriously. We talk about if it makes sense. And I think that's especially important when multiple people are saying the same thing, right? Like if you're getting feedback 5 times, there's probably a reason you're getting that feedback. And you have to either be willing to stand behind and say, okay, I get where you're coming from, but we think that makes the puzzle too easy, or, XYZ, but you have to take feedback, and that's what's...
Even after the room's open, I feel like if your game masters or the general public or the enthusiast page or whoever is saying over and over, this puzzle's too hard, or this puzzle doesn't make sense, or this puzzle's a logic leap, I think you have to try to put your ego aside from the work and 100%. Just say, okay, well, they think it's too hard. What's a way that we could adjust it to be easier without being a gimme puzzle?
We've talked to a lot of successful escape room owners, and I mean, they're always saying, don't get married to anything. Be ready to scrap any of it. As much as you might love it, be ready to let it go.
Yeah, 100%.
That's true. So obviously you've talked about your desire to have your own escape room business. Is that a reality, Are you working towards it? And where would it be? Would it be there in Nebraska?
Yeah, I don't know. We've talked about it, I mean, really since we probably hit about 100 rooms. It's been something we really wanted to do. We've been designing rooms since we were probably in 50 rooms. And, something we really want to do. It's obviously a big investment. You have to have the capital up front to do it, which is difficult. Right. I think we'd love to. I think if we can ever get to a point in our lives where we have financial stability and we feel like we can invest money into it, we're going to do it. But for now, kind of design is kind of fulfills that fantasy of designing while not having to own our own, not investing the money to open our own company. So yeah, but I'd say hopefully in the next 5 years we'll have our own company. But a lot of things can change. A lot of things can go right.
And if we did, I think it would be in North Carolina.
Yeah, probably North Carolina where we end up being. So.
Okay, so now we're going to jump into our speed rounds. This is how it works. We'll ask you a question. Each of you answer. You get one sentence to answer. If you want to expand later when we're done with the speed round, we can do that. Go ahead, Chris.
Hunter, we'll start with you each time, and then Will, you'll answer second. So what is your favorite nonfiction book?
Ideal Team Player.
Not a nonfiction reader.
Okay. What is your favorite fiction book?
Anything written by Sarah J. Maas.
Cirque du Freak.
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to look these up.
What is your favorite, or one of your favorite escape room games that you've played?
Pins and Needles.
Wow.
Dark Lullaby.
Okay. Two very intense games.
Yes. What is one game or location you really want to visit?
New Orleans / Baton Rouge area.
Los Angeles.
Yes.
Okay. Favorite board game?
DC Deck Builder.
Wormspan.
Favorite YouTube or TikTok channel?
I love Maya and Hunter on TikTok, or Elise Myers.
I watch Twitch, so I'll say Professional Valorant.
The fastest speed round we've had. Good job.
Yeah.
Again,
of course.
Set a record.
Right? Of course.
I love it.
And I love that you guys had answer to, even though it was Twitch, but you had an answer to the YouTube TikTok question. Most people are like, I don't have anything. And Chris is such a TikTok fiend. That's his question.
Nice. This is where I got my hamburger bag. So
I've been seeing them all over TikTok. When you showed them, I was like, oh my.
Do you have a story of anything that was funny? You've given us some good stories, but maybe of a place you had visited, or if you want to give us a story of a time you were a game master and had a unusual group or something.
I have two different ones for game mastering, but maybe you could tell a story of somewhere we went afterwards.
Sure.
But for game mastering, I had a group come in not sober when I worked in Omaha, and they had perhaps smoked something in the car before they came in. That was very clear when they walked in. Usually I would take a group, or like tell a group they couldn't play if they were a certain level of
intoxication.
Too far gone,
yeah.
Intoxication in any way, if I felt like they're going to destroy something. But they seemed really fun and funny and kind of calm and chill. And even if I did have to reprimand them, they seemed like they wouldn't care. I'm the GM. I'll make the call. I think they're going to be fine. They went in the room. I think they completed maybe a puzzle with so much help. I'm trying to get them to work on the second puzzle, and I'm sending them a nudge. Then they're not really getting it. I'm sending them a nudge and a nudge and a nudge. And finally, I like send them one more thing of like almost basically telling them how to do it to try to get them going. And they were like, it's okay, we're fine, we don't need any more help. And I was like, okay, point taken. And they just sat in the middle of the room and chatted for the rest of the 45 minutes they were there. And I was like, to be fair, y'all paid for the room for an hour if that's what you want to do.
Right.
My job is just to be here. So I just sat and ate my dinner and I kept an eye on them, and it was like so insane. And afterwards they were like, hey, that was so great. Thanks. We had so much fun. We're going to come back. And I was like, okay, glad to be of service, I guess.
Wow.
So it was insane. But then I also had, when I worked at Dare, the lead up to 7th room, as I'm sure you know, is very intense. And there's just a lot that goes into it that can kind of get in people's heads, whether that's intentional or not. They get really in their head about it because sometimes the fear of the unknown or like the anticipation of what might happen is scarier than the room itself.
Mhm.
And I could tell this group was really worked up. And I shut them in the room and I could hear the girls start to cry. And I went back into the room and then I saw the guy waving right as I sat down. So I came back and he was like, we don't want to do it anymore. And so I I was like, hey guys, I think I have a new record for 7th room. Someone quit after 13 seconds. But we always had a thing going of like how long people would last if we felt like, you know, we did our jobs well and we told the story really well. So that was always crazy to have people just like quit like right away. And I was like, okay,
Wow.
like I could put you in one of our not scary rooms, you know? And they were like, yeah, the girl's like sobbing. She's like, yeah. And I was like,
Wow.
okay.
Wow.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I like always felt bad, but I was like, well, it just means I did my job well, I guess.
Yeah, I guess for an experience, we talked about bad actors in rooms. The only bad actor we've had in a room, if you've played zombie rooms, sometimes they'll have zombies in the room. And typically, you know, they're kind of slow moving and you can kind of get around them. We played a room where the zombie was an I Am Legend zombie and he would like vault over the desk and like try to tackle but he was attached to a chain and at one point he vaulted over the desk and like hit one of our friends in the head with a chain and
it like swung and like hit
it
him
was like a
full
heavy
force in the
chain,
head.
you know, probably like a 20-pound chain over all of the whole thing, and it smacked him in the head, and we were like, "What?" It was a very odd experience.
It was super weird. We couldn't get to one of the locks, and I tried to like sneak around him and like reel up his chain, thinking that was like the key or the clue of how to do it. And they're like, "No, you can't touch his chain," and we were like, "Okay, but literally
What
how?
do we do?
Because he's so fast, and it takes me at least 30 seconds to open a lock." Just because of physics.
Wow. So you didn't finish that
like
room?
one of the rooms we didn't finish.
Yeah, I think I don't know of our 420 anymore, but it's like less than 10. I think that we haven't finished, and that's one of the 10, one of the 8 or whatever.
We didn't finish like 10% of the rooms that we played. So it's same thing.
Basically, we're the same.
I have one room I've not finished.
That's
That's a lie.
awesome.
2. I'm at 2. I forgot about one of them. It was a searching room.
Well,
Stupid.
aren't we special?
The worst. We wouldn't have succeeded at that one either.
Oh, it was dumb. So, hey, if people want to reach out to you or follow you, see what you guys are up to, what's the best way for that?
Hire you?
Yeah, our email is 11thhourescape@gmail.com. I think it's singular escape, right?
Yeah, escape singular.
So 11th spelled out hourescape@gmail.com.
Or you can find us on Facebook, although we don't post that often. But we're pretty active on the Escape Enthusiast page, so hit us up there also.
There you go.
If you have questions about what games to play in cities. We've traveled across the US and some in Europe, so we love to give recommendations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and eventually we'll have a website that's 11th Hour Production, so that'll be up at some point. But it'll be, you know.
but not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
You'll just find the little construction workers saying, "We're currently working on this." That's it.
Love it.
Funny. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to
Thanks for having
chat with us.
us.
It was fun.
Yeah,
so
it was
fun.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thanks again, and thanks for diving into this mystery pot with us. Keep those clues simmering, and we'll see you next time on Mystery Soup, where every riddle is just a taste away from being solved.
See ya.
Mystery Soup. Mystery Soup. Mystery Soup.